Hey, what's up, guys? Back with Killy again for a follow-up video on some more Guilty Gear 2020 news. Killy, two videos in less than
Yep,
a week, man. And I'm back
it's
with you
it's a
already.
good week.
Very good week. Very good week. So yeah, like by the we recorded the first video a while ago, but then some news came out like right away afterwards, which I was quite surprised. And it answers a few questions that we had in our first video. So let's go over that now, and then we're gonna talk about this juicy tweet from Daisuke that a lot of people are talking about at the moment. So
Mhm.
the first news is the new Guilty Gear 2020 game will be playable at the Arc Revel World Tour Final 2019 on November 16th and 17th at the UC Irvine Student Center in Irvine, California. And yeah, there's basically going to be a playable demo already for Guilty Gear.
That blew my mind when I heard that.
Yeah.
Literally, I read that. I'm like, I gotta go.
That's sick, man. I mean, that's really exciting. It's like your early E3 or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't believe how far. I didn't think their development was that far in, but clearly it is
Yeah, yeah. I
because they
mean,
have a
especially when we
demo.
saw the little teaser at Evo. It was a teaser after all, so I didn't think it was that far into development. But I guess they have something. So first off, this confirms that it will be at least on the PlayStation 4. So it won't be like a next gen only title because they said 2020, which is ambiguous. You know, it could mean the end of 2020 when next gen has already started. So
Yeah.
like I said, it'll probably have a PlayStation 5 release as well, but PS4 will be the earliest we'll get it. And
hmm
this might mean it's also released alongside of the arcade release as well, if they're gonna release it on arcades. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. It'll be interesting if it be a simultaneous release. I think in the past we've already seen arcade first and console later, but
Hmm.
things change, so it could be simultaneous arcade, or console, and hopefully a Steam release as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Steam release, please, please,
Please,
please, Daisuke,
please.
have it simultaneous. But yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for you, Killy, that you get your hands on it early. So I guess make sure you get back to us on on that. And let us know what's going down with this game.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll let people record footage because I would love to get a lot of footage of that
Yeah,
to go over mechanics and changes and stuff like that.
I'm sure there'll be like this worldwide like kind of trailer or something that demonstrates the game and stuff too, for
Yeah.
us as well that are not at the event. But yeah, okay. So the main part of this is Daisuke basically released this gigantic tweet, basically giving us the heads up that this Guilty Gear might be a lot more different than we think in terms of going over their first interview with the game. And there is a lot of jibber jabber in this tweet. I'm not going to read the entire thing for you guys, but I will link it in the video description and I'll put some of it on the screen. I'm going to take pieces out of this tweet, certain paragraphs that we can discuss on what Daisuke might mean. But damn, man, I feel bad for this translator. There's a lot of PR speak here, man. Kelly, tell me this. When you read this tweet, did this happen too for you? But when I read it, there was this weird, like, lightning strike and thunder, and then I got a cold shiver down my spine. Did that happen to you too?
No, no, it did not.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
But I like most of the response. Most people were like doom and gloom. Oh, it's gonna be
Yeah.
simplified or whatever like that. I was just more of like, I'll wait until I get my hands on it
Right.
in November. Then I'll make my own decision.
Right.
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 I don't want to be negative about this because it's a lot of PR speak kind of thing,
Yes.
and it's just showing us what his intentions are
Mm-hmm.
for the game,
Right.
and it's going to be really different. So I don't want
Yes.
to be doom and gloom here.
Of course. And I mean, so most of us were prepared already because of the first interview, right? They
Yeah,
do want to make
yeah,
the game more accessible. We know that for sure. And it's just that Guilty Gear is a very hardcore game. It's a very hardcore fighting game. So it's a more delicate game, I would say, to either dumb down the mechanics or take things out, right? It's
yeah.
what makes Guilty Gear. So, all right, let me read the one of the first paragraphs here. It says, "I just like to mention that this newest title is being developed with one goal in mind: to create a game that both new and existing players alike would want to get their hands on." So, I think one thing is clear is that I'm sure Arxis has learned a lot from DBZ's success, right? It's definitely one of the most successful games that they've worked on, and both on the esports side and on the casual side, right?
Yeah.
For Dragon Ball Fighters, and I think they're really looking at those mechanics on what they can learn from it and what they can use, and what seems to get people, still playing that game. And what do you think?
There's some lessons to be learned. I wouldn't expect any like mechanics to be ported over from one game to the other, but there's probably something they want to look at in terms of DBZ's success
Yeah.
and see what they can utilize for Guilty Gear.
Right. Like I doubt they're not gonna make it so you can't throw anymore, or you're gonna super dash or vanish cancel or
I
whatever.
don't think there's going to be a super dash or anything like that. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
expect
Yeah.
anything like that. But maybe something like, how about you'll have your manual input for air dashes, but there's also like that 2-button shortcut for air dashes,
Okay.
something like that, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So the next, this is a big one, big paragraph here. It says, Daisuke says, the core concept this time is unlike those of the past titles. It is neither evolution nor returning to the roots, nor is it an addition or subtraction of elements to the existing title. What we're pursuing is a brand new experience for Guilty Gear. To achieve that goal, we've disassembled the current franchise into fragments and sifted out the pieces that make it unique and charismatic, using those pieces to have a complete reconstruction of the franchise. I'm sure this is the main paragraph that got people worried, I'm sure, right? So right off the bat, this tells us this will be a pretty different Guilty Gear, a very different Guilty Gear, right?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're starting from scratch, right? And they're looking at all the they said though they're not like subtracting elements though. It's really, there's some contradictions in this paragraph. It's really confusing how it's written. But
well, it's more of like it's not saying, okay, we're just gonna like add new mechanics or take away certain mechanics or something like that. It's like we're going to re-examine it from the ground up and like redesign it to make sure it's something that is accessible but still feels like Guilty Gear.
Right.
To the veterans or to the hardcore fans, right?
Right.
That's the way I would interpret that.
Okay. So like they'll probably be looking at like you said before, like they'll looking at air dashes. Is this the only way you can do air dashes? They'll be looking at their Gatling combos. They'll be looking at like how the uniqueness of each character, their specials, and it looks like they're just trying to just relook at every mechanic and how it could be either more accessible, right, or more intuitive for everyone to learn. Another thing too, Kelly, because we're talking a lot about DBZ. Like, what do you think about BB Tag? Do you think there's any influence there on reduced mechanics? I don't know BB Tag well at all, though.
No, I don't think there's any sort of influence regarding BB Tag for Guilty Gear. Like, they're very different mechanically. BB Tag simplifies certain things, but it has its own complexity as well. So it's like completely different. I wouldn't.
It's a different team too, right?
Yep, I think it was definitely Team Blue. That's Mori's team because he's worked on he's like the director for Blaze Blue. So
and the DBZ team is Team Red.
I think it's Team Red.
Okay, okay. So DBZ would definitely be a bigger influence for them.
Well, then you also have to look at Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. That's coming out also in 2020.
Which team is that?
That's Team Red as well.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pachi's the battle director for Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and he handled. I think he was also the battle director for Guilty Gear Xrd. So.
And that game's accessible too, right?
Very accessible.
Very accessible.
Based on the demo.
I heard that game's like Street Fighter like.
A little bit.
A little bit. I haven't got my hands on it though. So they've had a lot of experience basically. I mean, assuming the teams communicate with each other, of course, but on what works and what doesn't. Because there's been a lot of ArcSys titles lately, right?
Yeah. So even though Team Red's going to be working on the new Guilty Gear, like, the staffing looks different. Like, Pachi's not the battle director for the new Guilty Gear. Like,
Interesting.
Looks like they have a lot of new hands on this one.
Interesting. Okay, and the final paragraph sentence I want to read here, it says, Daisuke says, "It is a high-risk move on our part. However, we have an accumulation of plentiful resources and experience, a clear vision of our ideals, and an excitement towards a future of new possibility." So, I mean, he's basically just trying to reassure us that, like, look, like, Guilty Gear's their baby. They're not going to just completely mess this up. But they are taking a high risk, right? Re-looking at this franchise. So
I mean, that people have to understand, like, this is Daisuke's baby. Like, yeah, the history is this is Daisuke's creation. He
hmm
created Guilty Gear. He created the characters, did the artwork, did the music, or at least some of the music.
really.
Yep. Played the voice of Soul for a good portion of the game. Like this guy, like this is his baby.
Yeah.
Like can imagine this is his life's work for over probably like 30 years now.
hmm
So like he's not gonna mess it up.
Yeah. Like so far, what we've seen in the game is looking promising, right? The engine, we have familiar characters, right? Familiar
Yeah.
music, like everything looks Guilty Gear so far.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see when we finally get some footage, right? Because we're basically just guessing here, but we know that we're
Yeah.
going to see something really, really fresh and hopefully very exciting for the Guilty Gear franchise, and hopefully we
Yeah.
can get many, many new players into this game and keep their returning core fan base as well, like you, Killy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the dream balance,
that's
right?
the
To
dream balance.
satisfy your veteran fans while getting new fans.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess right now I'm cautiously optimistic. What about you, Killy?
Same.
Same? Well,
Yeah.
let us know, guys, in the comments below how you guys feel about this now after getting this new information. Are you guys still excited for the new Guilty Gear? Are you guys really concerned or worried they're going to take out your favorite mechanics? I don't think so after discussing this, but let us know. Be sure to like the video, guys, and of course subscribe to the channel, and me and Killy will try to keep you guys as up to date as possible until Guilty Gear is finally released. So till then, guys, take care.